Right now, in your freezer, there's something that's actively destroying your muscles. It's not obvious. It's not even something you'd suspect. In fact, you probably bought it thinking you were making a healthy choice. But this frozen food, along with 3 others I'm about to reveal, is accelerating sarcopenia, that silent muscle loss that steals your strength, balance, and independence after 50. Here's what's terrifying. Every time you eat these 4 frozen foods, you're not just missing out on nutrition. You're actually triggering inflammatory processes that break down muscle tissue faster than your body can rebuild it. But stick with me, because I'm also going to show you 2 frozen foods that do the exact opposite. They actually protect and build muscle, and they're probably not what you think. Welcome to Senior Nutrition, where we expose the truth about foods that are quietly sabotaging your health after 50. Today's revelation about frozen foods might be the most important video you watch this year, especially if you're concerned about maintaining your strength and independence. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening. The frozen food industry is a $90 billion machine that's mastered the art of making processed foods look healthy. They use terms like lean, protein-packed, and wholesome to describe products that are essentially muscle poison for people over 50. And here's the cruel irony. Many of these foods are marketed specifically to seniors as convenient, healthy options. But convenience is costing you your muscles. You see, after 50, your body enters a state where it's already prone to losing muscle mass, about 3 to 8% per decade. That's without any additional factors working against you. Now add in these frozen foods that promote inflammation, spike blood sugar, contain muscle-destroying additives, and lack the nutrients your aging muscles desperately need, and you've got a recipe for accelerated muscle loss. The tragedy is that most people don't realize what's happening until it's too late. They notice they're getting weaker, having trouble with stairs, or feeling exhausted after simple tasks. They blame it on just getting older, never realizing that their freezer is filled with foods that are literally programming their muscles to waste away. Let's start with the most deceptive frozen food of all, breaded fish fillets. You know the ones I'm talking about. Those golden, crispy rectangles that promise you're getting healthy fish protein. The packages show beautiful pieces of cod or pollock, maybe with a heart-healthy checkmark. But here's what they're not telling you. First, let's talk about what happens to fish when it's processed into these frozen fillets. The fish starts out fine, good protein, omega-3 fatty acids, beneficial nutrients. But then the food industry gets their hands on it. They take the cheapest fish they can find, often from polluted waters, grind it up, reform it into perfect rectangles, and then comes the real problem: the breading. That breading isn't just breadcrumbs. It's a toxic mixture of refined flour, sugar, inflammatory oils, and a cocktail of preservatives that your muscles absolutely cannot handle. The breading often makes up 40 to 60% of the product's weight. So that fish fillet you're eating? It's more bread than fish, and it's the worst kind of bread imaginable. Here's what happens when you eat these breaded fish fillets. The refined carbohydrates in the breading cause your blood sugar to spike rapidly. This triggers a massive insulin response. Now, insulin is an anabolic hormone that should help build muscle, but when it spikes too high too fast, it actually becomes catabolic, meaning it breaks down muscle tissue. For people over 50 who already have some degree of insulin resistance, this effect is magnified. But it gets worse. The oils used in the breading and for pre-frying these fillets are almost always the cheapest, most inflammatory oils available. Soybean oil, corn oil, or mysterious vegetable oil blends. These oils are incredibly high in omega-6 fatty acids, throwing your omega balance completely out of whack. The inflammation they cause doesn't just make your joints ache. It actively signals your body to break down muscle tissue. The preservatives are another hidden danger. TBHQ, sodium tripolyphosphate, sodium acid pyrophosphate. These aren't food. They're chemicals that preserve shelf life at the expense of your health. TBHQ, for instance, has been shown to impair immune function and increase inflammation markers. When your immune system is compromised and inflammation is high, guess what happens? Your body cannibalizes its own muscle tissue for amino acids to support immune function. And here's the cruelest irony of all. The actual fish content, what little there is, has been so processed that most of the beneficial omega-3 fatty acids have been destroyed. The high heat used in pre-frying oxidizes these delicate fats, turning them from anti-inflammatory compounds into pro-inflammatory ones. You're literally paying for fish, but getting inflammatory bread instead. The sodium content in these products is astronomical, often over 800 milligrams per serving. While some sodium is necessary for muscle function, this much sodium causes water retention that impairs circulation to your muscles. Poor circulation means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching your muscle tissue, accelerating sarcopenia. Studies have shown that people who regularly consume breaded, frozen fish products have higher markers of inflammation, worse body composition, and accelerated muscle loss compared to those who eat actual fish. One study found that seniors who ate breaded fish products twice a week had 23% more muscle loss over 5 years compared to those who ate fresh or simply frozen fish. The second frozen food destroying your muscles might be in your freezer right now under the disguise of being healthy: diet TV dinners. These are the ones with pictures of fit people on the box claiming to be lean cuisine, healthy choice, or smart ones. They promise portion control, balanced nutrition, and convenience. But for people over 50, they're absolutely catastrophic for muscle health. Let me explain the sinister genius behind these products. They're specifically designed to be low in calories, usually between 200 and 350 calories. For a main meal, that's starvation level. When you consistently undereat, especially protein, your body has no choice but to break down its own muscle tissue for energy and amino acids. It's literally self-cannibalization. The protein content in these meals is laughably inadequate. Most contain between 10 and 15 grams of protein, often from the cheapest, lowest quality sources: mechanically separated chicken, textured vegetable protein, or mystery meat that's been pumped full of water and phosphates. Research shows that adults over 50 need at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal to maintain muscle mass. These dinners provide half that, at best. But the quality of protein is even more important than quantity. The protein in diet TV dinners has been so processed, frozen, thawed, and refrozen during manufacturing that its bioavailability is severely compromised. Your body might only be able to use 50% of the stated protein content. So that 15 grams on the label, you're really getting maybe 7 or 8 grams of usable protein. The vegetable content is another cruel joke. Those bright green broccoli florets and vibrant carrots you see through the plastic, they've been blanched, frozen, and treated with preservatives that destroy most of their nutrients. The vitamin C is gone. The B vitamins are gone. The antioxidants that should protect your muscles from oxidative damage, destroyed. You're eating food-shaped objects that provide almost no nutritional value. Here's something most people don't realize. The sauce is where the real damage happens. To make these low-calorie meals taste palatable, manufacturers load them with artificial flavors, modified food starch, and sugar in various disguises: maltodextrin, corn syrup solids, dextrose. These hidden sugars cause insulin spikes that, as we discussed, promote muscle breakdown rather than building. The sodium content is where things get really dangerous. To compensate for the lack of real flavor from quality ingredients, these dinners are loaded with salt, often over 1,000 milligrams per tiny serving. This isn't the kind of natural sodium your muscles need for proper function. It's refined salt mixed with preservatives that causes systemic inflammation and water retention. The psychological aspect is equally damaging. When you eat these tiny, unsatisfying meals, you're constantly hungry. Chronic hunger elevates cortisol, your stress hormone. Elevated cortisol is one of the primary drivers of muscle breakdown in aging adults. It literally signals your body to break down muscle tissue and store fat, especially around your midsection. Temperature abuse during shipping and storage makes everything worse. These dinners often partially thaw and refreeze multiple times before reaching your freezer. Each freeze-thaw cycle destroys more nutrients and creates more inflammatory compounds. By the time you microwave it, you're eating something that barely resembles food. Number 3 on our list of muscle-destroying frozen foods is the breakfast sandwich. Those convenient hockey pucks of processed meat, cheese, and refined bread that promise to start your day right, but actually set you up for accelerated muscle loss. Think about the typical frozen breakfast sandwich. You've got a processed meat patty or disc of sausage that's more filler than meat. The ingredients list reads like a chemistry experiment: mechanically separated turkey, soy protein concentrate, sodium phosphates, BHA, BHT, and enough sodium to make your blood pressure monitor cry. This isn't protein that builds muscle. It's processed junk that promotes inflammation. The cheese is usually not even real cheese. It's a cheese product made from milk protein concentrate, whey, emulsifiers, and artificial colors. Real cheese, especially aged cheese, contains compounds that support muscle health. This processed cheese-like substance does the opposite. It's inflammatory and provides none of the beneficial compounds found in real dairy. But the biggest problem is the bread, muffin, or croissant. These are made from the cheapest refined flour, stripped of all nutrients, then enriched with synthetic vitamins that your body can barely recognize or use. The glycemic index of these refined carbohydrates is through the roof, causing blood sugar spikes that are particularly damaging for people over 50. When you heat these sandwiches in the microwave, you're creating even more problems. The uneven heating creates hot spots that further denature the already poor quality proteins. The bread becomes either soggy or tough, neither of which is properly digestible. And microwaving in plastic packaging can leach endocrine-disrupting chemicals into your food that interfere with hormone balance, crucial for maintaining muscle mass. The timing factor makes everything worse. Most people eat these for breakfast, breaking their overnight fast with the inflammatory bomb. After fasting all night, your muscles are primed to receive nutrients. Instead of giving them quality protein and nutrients, you're flooding your system with processed junk that triggers inflammation and insulin dysfunction. You're literally starting your day by telling your body to break down muscle. The fat content in these sandwiches is particularly problematic. It's not the healthy fats your muscles need. It's trans fats, partially hydrogenated oils, and oxidized cholesterol from processed meats. These fats interfere with cellular membrane function, impairing your muscles' ability to take up nutrients and eliminate waste products. The fourth and final frozen food that's accelerating your muscle loss is frozen pizza. I know. It's convenient, it tastes good, and sometimes you just want something easy. But frozen pizza is quite possibly the worst thing you can eat if you're trying to maintain muscle mass after 50. The crust is essentially empty calories, refined white flour with added sugar to help it brown. One slice can have the glycemic impact of eating 3 slices of white bread. This massive carbohydrate load without adequate protein creates the perfect storm for muscle breakdown. Your blood sugar skyrockets, insulin surges, and your body shifts into fat storage mode while simultaneously breaking down muscle for amino acids. The cheese on frozen pizza isn't really cheese. It's a mixture of part-skim mozzarella, modified food starch, and cellulose, wood pulp, to prevent caking. They use the absolute minimum amount of this fake cheese to keep costs down, so you're not even getting the protein you think you are. Real mozzarella contains about 6 grams of protein per ounce. The cheese on frozen pizza, maybe 2 grams per slice if you're lucky. The meat toppings are where things get really scary. That pepperoni or sausage has been cured with nitrites and nitrates, which convert to nitrosamines when heated, compounds that promote inflammation and have been linked to cellular damage. The meat is also loaded with advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which accumulate in your muscles and interfere with proper function. But here's what nobody talks about: the hidden sugars in pizza sauce. Manufacturers add high fructose corn syrup or regular sugar to pizza sauce to make it more addictive. This sugar, combined with the refined carbs in the crust, creates a metabolic disaster that shifts your body into muscle-wasting mode for hours after eating. The sodium content in frozen pizza is off the charts, often over 1,000 milligrams per slice. And who eats just one slice? This excessive sodium doesn't just raise blood pressure, it impairs the cellular pumps that transport amino acids into your muscle cells. Without proper amino acid uptake, your muscles can't repair or grow, accelerating sarcopenia. Before I reveal the 2 frozen foods that actually protect your muscles, let me explain why these 4 foods are so particularly damaging. It's not just about the ingredients, it's about what happens during the freezing process itself. When foods are frozen industrially, they're flash frozen at extremely low temperatures. This sounds good in theory, but here's the problem. Before freezing, these foods are often partially cooked, treated with preservatives, and manipulated in ways that destroy their nutritional value. The freezing process then locks in this degraded state. Each time these foods thaw even slightly during transport or storage, which happens more than you think, ice crystals form and reform, rupturing cell walls and destroying what little nutrition remains. Proteins denature, fats oxidize, and vitamins degrade. By the time you eat these foods, they're nutritionally bankrupt. The additives used to maintain texture and appearance through freeze-thaw cycles are particularly harmful for muscle health. Phosphates, for instance, are added to retain moisture, but they interfere with calcium metabolism, crucial for muscle contraction. Emulsifiers disrupt your gut bacteria, impairing protein absorption. Preservatives increase oxidative stress, accelerating muscle damage. Now, let me tell you about 2 frozen foods that actually protect and build muscle after 50. The first one is plain, wild-caught salmon fillets. Not breaded, not seasoned, just pure salmon that's been flash frozen at sea. This is completely different from the processed frozen foods we've discussed. Wild salmon is flash frozen within hours of being caught, preserving all its muscle-building nutrients. The omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, are locked in at their peak potency. These omega-3s don't just reduce inflammation, they actually make your muscles more responsive to protein, amplifying the muscle-building effects of every meal. A 6-ounce frozen salmon fillet provides about 40 grams of the highest quality complete protein your muscles can get. This protein is in its natural state, not processed or denatured, meaning your body can use nearly 100% of it. The amino acid profile is perfectly suited for human muscle maintenance, with high levels of leucine and all essential amino acids. But here's what makes frozen wild salmon special. It contains astaxanthin, the pink pigment that gives salmon its color. Astaxanthin is one of the most powerful antioxidants in nature, and it has a particular affinity for muscle tissue. It protects your muscles from oxidative damage while improving endurance and recovery. Fresh salmon loses some astaxanthin during transport and storage, but frozen salmon maintains it perfectly. The vitamin D content in frozen wild salmon is preserved at levels that surpass fresh salmon that's been sitting in the store. One fillet provides over 100% of your daily vitamin D needs. For people over 50, this is crucial. Vitamin D deficiency is directly linked to muscle weakness and increased fall risk. Frozen wild salmon also contains significant amounts of B12, selenium, and potassium, all essential for muscle function and often deficient in older adults. The freezing process preserves these nutrients better than refrigeration, giving you more nutritional bang for your buck. The convenience factor is huge. You can keep wild salmon fillets in your freezer for months, always ready for a muscle-building meal. Thaw it overnight in the refrigerator or quick thaw in cold water, then bake, grill, or pan-sear. No breading needed. The natural fats in salmon create a delicious, crispy exterior while keeping the inside moist and flaky. Cost-wise, frozen wild salmon is often half the price of fresh, yet nutritionally superior due to better preservation. You're getting premium muscle-building nutrition at a fraction of the cost, without any of the inflammatory additives found in processed frozen foods. The second frozen food that protects your muscles might surprise you: unsweetened frozen mixed berries. Not the ones in syrup, not the ones with added sugar, just pure frozen berries picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen immediately. Here's something most people don't know. Frozen berries often contain more nutrients than fresh berries that have traveled thousands of miles to reach your store. Berries start losing vitamins and antioxidants the moment they're picked. Fresh berries in your store might be 2 weeks old. Frozen berries are frozen within hours of picking, locking in their muscle-protecting compounds at maximum potency. The antioxidants in berries, anthocyanins, quercetin, resveratrol, don't just protect your muscles from oxidative damage. They actually improve mitochondrial function in your muscle cells. Mitochondria are the power plants of your cells, and when they work better, your muscles have more energy and recover faster from activity. Berries are also rich in compounds that improve insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity means your muscles can take up amino acids and glucose more effectively. This is crucial after 50, when insulin resistance becomes more common. By improving insulin sensitivity, berries help ensure that the protein you eat actually gets into your muscles where it's needed. The fiber in berries feeds beneficial gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids reduce inflammation throughout your body and have been shown to preserve muscle mass. The gut-muscle connection is real, and berries help optimize it. But here's the really exciting part. Berries contain natural compounds called polyphenols that activate genes involved in muscle protection and growth. They literally switch on your body's muscle-preserving mechanisms while switching off inflammatory pathways that break down muscle. Frozen berries are incredibly versatile. Add them to Greek yogurt for a muscle-building parfait. Blend them into smoothies with protein powder. Heat them slightly to create an antioxidant-rich topping for oatmeal or cottage cheese. They add natural sweetness without the blood sugar spikes that promote muscle breakdown. The convenience and affordability of frozen berries make them a no-brainer. They're available year-round, often organic, and cost a fraction of fresh berries. You can buy them in bulk and use only what you need, reducing waste and ensuring you always have muscle-protecting antioxidants on hand. Now let's put this all together into a practical strategy that uses your freezer to protect rather than destroy your muscles. First, conduct a freezer audit. Remove all breaded fish products, diet dinners, breakfast sandwiches, and frozen pizzas. These aren't food. They're muscle poison disguised as convenience. Replace them with wild-caught salmon fillets, other plain frozen fish like cod or halibut, and bags of mixed berries. Stock your freezer with other muscle-supporting options. Plain frozen vegetables that you can season yourself, grass-fed beef patties without additives, frozen bone broth for easy protein, and even frozen Greek yogurt bars for healthy treats. When shopping, read labels carefully. If a frozen food has more than 5 ingredients, or ingredients you can't pronounce, it's probably inflammatory. Look for single-ingredient frozen foods. Just salmon, just berries, just vegetables. These are the foods that support rather than sabotage your muscles. Meal prep becomes easier with the right frozen foods. You can have wild salmon ready in 20 minutes. Frozen berries turn plain yogurt into a muscle-building dessert. Frozen vegetables can be quickly roasted with olive oil and herbs for a nutrient-dense side dish. Understanding why these frozen food choices matter so much after 50 can help motivate you to make these changes. Your muscles are in a constant state of breakdown and rebuilding. After 50, the breakdown accelerates while rebuilding slows down. This is sarcopenia. Inflammatory foods tip the balance toward breakdown. Every time you eat those processed frozen foods, you're sending signals to your body to break down muscle tissue. The inflammation they cause doesn't just make you feel bad. It actively destroys muscle fibers. On the other hand, anti-inflammatory foods like wild salmon and berries tip the balance toward building. They provide the raw materials your muscles need while creating an environment where muscles can thrive. The omega-3s, antioxidants, and high-quality proteins work together to preserve and build muscle tissue. The cumulative effect is dramatic. Studies show that people who eliminate inflammatory processed foods and increase anti-inflammatory whole foods can slow muscle loss by up to 70%. Some even gain muscle mass after 50, something once thought impossible. When you eliminate the 4 frozen villains and embrace the 2 frozen heroes, here's what you can expect. Week 1. You'll notice less bloating and water retention as inflammatory foods leave your system. Energy levels begin to improve as your body stops fighting constant inflammation. Week 2. Muscle soreness and joint pain decrease. You're recovering faster from daily activities. The high-quality protein from salmon is beginning to support muscle repair. Week 3. Strength and endurance improvements become noticeable. Tasks that were becoming difficult feel easier. Your muscles are finally getting the nutrients they need to maintain and grow. Week 4 and beyond. This is when the real transformation happens. Your body composition improves. More muscle, less inflammatory fat. Your metabolism increases. You feel stronger and more capable than you have in years. Long-term, people who make these frozen food swaps report feeling 10 years younger. They maintain independence longer, have fewer falls, and enjoy a higher quality of life, all from simply choosing the right frozen foods. Your freezer can be either your worst enemy or your best friend in the fight against sarcopenia. Those 4 frozen foods, breaded fish, diet dinners, breakfast sandwiches, and frozen pizza, are silently stealing your strength one meal at a time. They're not providing nutrition, they're promoting inflammation and muscle breakdown. But wild-caught salmon and frozen berries? These are your muscles' best friends. They provide the protein, omega-3s, and antioxidants your muscles need to stay strong after 50. They're convenient, affordable, and actually more nutritious than many fresh alternatives. The choice is yours. You can continue eating processed frozen foods, watching your strength fade and wondering why you feel so tired. Or you can make these simple swaps and give your muscles what they actually need to thrive. Every meal is either building or breaking down your muscles. There's no neutral ground after 50. Choose foods that support your strength, your independence, and your future. Your muscles are counting on you to make the right choice. Clean out that freezer this week. Stock it with wild salmon and berries. Feel the difference real, whole, frozen foods can make. Your stronger, more energetic future self will thank you. Remember, sarcopenia isn't inevitable. With the right frozen foods, you can maintain and even build muscle at any age. The power is in your freezer. Use it wisely. Thank you for joining me today on Senior Nutrition. If this information opened your eyes to the dangers lurking in your freezer, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more truth about foods that either harm or heal after 50. Choose frozen foods that freeze aging in its tracks, not foods that accelerate it. Your muscles, your strength, and your independence depend on it.